This is the Sunday Matinee. I am the Wiz. The 90s were a very special decade for me. It was the time at which I was blossoming into a man and eventually had the sordid issues that I would end up having later in life. But I know what you're saying right now. Wiz, I'm not here to be your therapist. I want to know about movies, damn it. And that's what I'm here for. The 90s were a special time because it was the time at which I realized I was a huge super fan of movies. And I not only loved watching them, I loved reviewing them, talking about them, and discussing all sorts of sort of details about them. And because the 90s are important to me, some of my favorite movies are from the 90s. And I thought I would take this Sunday Matinee to discuss my favorite 90s movies. I'm going to choose 10 movies that I think are the best of the 90s. And I'm also going to give 5 honorable mentions. And I want to know what yours are too. So if you have a comment or if you want to tell me what your favorite movies are from the 90s, go ahead and post a comment on the social media or on the video with your thoughts on what that is. So let me get started with honorable mentions of what I think are the best films of the 90s. Some might surprise you, some may not. First honorable mention I want to give is the Farrelly Brothers' Kingpin. I know a lot of people would say either Dumb and Dumber or There's Something About Mary is their funniest film. I disagree. I think it's Kingpin. I think Kingpin is horribly underrated. It is such a funny movie in its crassness and its really smart comedy. I thought it was absolutely uproarious. And I know some of you who have seen it who will hear the line, "We don't have a cow, but we have a bull," and you're going to laugh your fucking ass off. So if you have not seen it, check it out. It is a hilarious movie. Another honorable mention that I have mentioned numerous times, Notting Hill. Okay, so you guys are probably surprised. Whoa, Wiz. You, gush about this movie. It's one of your favorite romantic films of all time. This is an honorable mention? Yeah, the 90s are a really good decade for movies, isn't it? Yeah, Notting Hill is one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time, but it does fall short in the top 10. I've said numerous times about this movie, I think it's a lovely film. I laugh, I cry throughout it. I think it's a wonderful film, but there is other romance films that are a little bit better, and one of them will be on the top 10. The next movie that I have as a honorable mention is Jonathan Demme's The Silence of the Lambs. Great performances by Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster. Also, Ted Devine plays a really good villain in this as well. A really masterfully done psychological thriller that I think few have not really even reached to that pinnacle yet. So Silence of the Lambs is on there as an honorable mention. Another honorable mention that I think I'm going to convince Kim to see, and that's Curtis Hanson's adaptation of James Ellroy's L.A. Confidential. This movie is a crime master. Before this film was made, people thought it would have been impossible to turn this into a film. And not only did Curtis Hanson pull it off, he did a fantastic job, not only with casting and the way the film looks and the feel of it, just everything about the film is of a certain quality that I don't think a lot of crime films have even reached. L.A. Confidential, fantastic movie, you haven't seen it. And the last honorable mention I'm going to give is the movie that Terrence Malick came back from after a long hiatus, and that is The Thin Red Line. This movie came out around the same time that Saving Private Ryan came out. And while Saving Private Ryan got all the press and all the praise, people would gush about that movie, I think The Thin Red Line is better. Saving Private Ryan's a great movie, but The Thin Red Line does something incredibly different than most war films do, and I think it does it incredibly well. It is much more lyrical and much more poetic than most war movies are. So I deeply appreciate The Thin Red Line, and I think it is a better, not much more different type of war film, and I think Terrence Malick did an incredible job on this movie. Okay, so let me get to my top 10 favorites of the 90s. Number 10, Sam Raimi's A Simple Plan. Now, if you have not seen this film, it is a really good crime morality thriller about a pair of brothers who finds a duffel bag with a ton of cash and their morality to decide whether they're going to keep it or not, or what they're going to do with it. It is a surprisingly strong thriller. It is intense in certain aspects, and it's got a really good character development on all three actors that are in the film. That is Bill Paxton, that is Billy Bob Thornton in an Academy Award nominated role, and it's got Bridget Fonda as well, who does a very good job in this movie. If you have not seen Sam Raimi's A Simple Plan, I can't recommend it enough. I think it's a great movie, and I would highly recommend, if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Number 9, Ang Lee's adaptation of Sense and Sensibility. So this is the romance film I'm talking about. I think Sense and Sensibility is a better romance film than Notting Hill, because they also take Jane Austen's classic novel and adapted it faithfully. I read Sense and Sensibility when I was a lot younger, like I was like 12 or 13, and I loved the book. While there are some differences in the movie than there's the book, I still think it captured the book beautifully in this. And the performances by Kate Winslet and Alan Rickman are fantastic. I love Alan Rickman in this movie. I think he does an incredibly good job in this. So if you love romance films, you should see Sense and Sensibility right now. Number 8, the Martin Scorsese classic Goodfellas. Man, there's not much more I can say about Goodfellas that has not already been said. It is a incredibly effective crime drama. It's got great characters. It's got an intense storyline. Just a well-acted, well-done film. If you have not seen it and you're into mafia films and crime films, man, you owe it to yourself to watch this film. It is a masterpiece. Number 7, Toy Story 2 by Pixar. Okay, some of you might say, well, actually, Toy Story is much more important, and I agree. But Toy Story 2 did something that I thought was going to be impossible, and take Toy Story 1, which is still a great movie, and not only improve on what they did, but also add characters that were meaningful and tell a very emotional story that really resonated with me when I watched the film. It is a really good-looking and really well done story, even if the graphics still look dated, which they certainly do. Style of the film and the way it looks and feels is still top notch. I really like Pixar's Toy Story 2 in this. A great movie. That's number 7. But it's not the best animated film, and it's not this one either. Number 6, The Iron Giant. The Iron Giant is a film that did not do well in the box office when it came out in the theaters, but it got a lot of critical praise. Why is that? Because the story is both cute, it is well animated, and it's got an emotional center to it that I think anyone can identify with. It has got a really well told story, and it's animated really well, even to this day. It's got a blend of computer and hand-drawn animation that works really well, and it's just an incredibly effective film. It's one of the few films on this list I don't own yet. And I kind of want to, so I want to get that as soon as I can. So if you have not seen The Iron Giant, I highly recommend you watch it, especially if you're an animation nerd. Now, the best animated film of the 90s is number 5, Disney's Beauty and the Beast. This was also in my favorite romance films of all time, if I recall correctly. A beautifully drawn, well done, well executed film with great music, great characters, and just a wonderful story that fit perfectly with the animation and the style that Disney was going for. I love this film. I love all the aspects of this film. I think it's an expertly done film. When they remade this into live action, I kind of knew it was not going to work. And the reason why is because the story that was made from the animated version was just too perfect to be with animation. It just was so well done. It couldn't be done with live actors. You could get the best actors out there play those roles, it still wouldn't have worked. And that's mainly because the animated version is just incredible the way it is. It is so hard to execute that live action, and unfortunately it showed. So I know every time that I talk about the animated Beauty and the Beast, I end up shitting on the live action one, but it's deserved, I tell you. But anyway, that's number 5, Beauty and the Beast. Number 4, Michael Mann's classic crime caper, Heat. Oh my god. The thing that gets the most praise from Heat is the end sequence of the gunfight during the heist. And that does deserve a lot of praise, but the build-up to it is incredibly well done. It is slow in the right ways. It has a lot of detail to it. It has great characters. It has awesome dialogue. It has great lines in this movie, especially from Al Pacino. It is just a well-done film that I'm seeing less and less people praise this unless it's mentioned. I can't praise it enough. I think if you're into crime movies, if you're into heist movies and you haven't seen Heat, well, you probably have, but if you haven't, you really should. So make this the next movie you see. Number 3, the classic Quentin Tarantino film Pulp Fiction. Again, this is another movie that praise has been heaped upon it for so long now. There's really not much more you could say. The twisted storyline works really well. The characters are interesting. The dialogue's amazing. Great performances all around. There is a reason why Pulp Fiction is a classic, and one that people believe should have won the Oscar the year it came out and not Forrest Gump. And there's a good reason why, because this film is utterly original. even though it is a pastiche of different types of films, but it has such a unique style to itself that it makes itself a unique film. This put Quentin Tarantino on the map, as it should, and it really showed the mark of a young, incredibly talented director right away, and he did a fantastic job in this movie. It is a classic, it is a great film that will stand the test of time for years to come. That's number 3, Pulp Fiction. But it isn't Quentin Tarantino's best film, and that's number 2, Jackie Brown. I adore Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown is a Quentin Tarantino film that doesn't get enough credit. It doesn't get enough praise as it is. People love it, but when they talk about, top 5 Tarantino films, somehow this film does not get on there. And I think that is a crime. Well, it is his most understated film, I will say. And because of that, he shows the restraint. He lets the characters and the story blossom in a way that in other films that he does, it doesn't do it as well. The characters and the writing are paramount in this movie, and it is so effectively done. I don't think Tarantino will ever reach the way that he did these characters in this movie. Pam Grier, Sam Jackson, Robert De Niro, and Robert Forster are amazing in this movie. I am stunned that most of them did not get nominated, but I am glad Forrester did. I thought that was weird when it happened, but I'm happy about that. With that said, this is Tarantino's best film in my opinion. It marries his sense of style with his dialogue incredibly well and does it in an understated way to highlight the best aspects of the film. I adore and I will always love Jackie Brown. I think it's his best film. That's number 2. And number 1, you probably already know this if you've been listening, it's the Coen brothers' Fargo. Man, Fargo is an amazing film. It's the film that really got me into movies, that made me realize that movies are much more than just entertainment, to kill some time and to just have fun. It can be deeper, it can mean more than that, and I love Fargo for it, not just for that reason, but because it also does many things that I think a lot of films don't even try. The way that it plays on the viewer's expectation, the dark humor, the black drama of this movie, the interesting aspects of the crime, the characters are so good, the dialogue is excellent. Frances McDormand gives an incredible performance. William H. Macy is really good in this movie. It is one of the best films of all time. I still feel like a lot of people don't recognize this, or they have their debates, and that's fine. But I think as time will go on, people will recognize the brilliance of Fargo. I have known it for the entire time I've been into movies, and I think as time will go on, more and more people will start to recognize it. So that's my number 1 film of the 90s, and that is the Coen brothers' Fargo. Again, what do you think? What are your favorite films of the 90s? Sound off on the comments and let me know. Tuesday, me and Zero are going to review the Super Mario Brothers movie. Thursday, I'm going to review Pokemon Detective Pikachu. And Saturday, Kim and I are going to review Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. And until next time, I am the Wiz, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.